Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy,
Okay.
Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. That was the Weekend and Future Double Fantasy.
That's a little skating ring bop. Okay, I haven't skated in years, but that song definitely is roller rink music. That's the kind of music make you write a little letter. Will you go with me? Yes and no. You know, check a box.
Yeah.
Little bop.
Little bop. All right. Well, let's get to the front page news. Start off with sports. Now, the Nets beat the 76ers beat the Nets 102-97. The Suns beat the Clippers 129-124. And the Warriors beat the Kings 114-97.
Okay, Warriors. See, they're back at home now. See, the Warriors can win at home. They have trouble winning on the road. They're not a good road team this year for whatever reason.
And, of course, Draymond Green didn't play because he was suspended. Now, what else we got, Miss Teslin Figueroa? How you feeling, first of all?
I'm feeling good. I am in Atlanta for the first ever Black Effect Podcast Network Festival.
Okay.
And flew in on Southwest. And I noticed you guys waited until I left yesterday to throw all this Southwest Airlines shade for Donkey of the Day.
Oh, yeah, that dude from Orlando that was on the Southwest flight. Was there any crying babies on your flight, Tess?
It was not, but that had nothing to do with Southwest. It was that gentleman that called, well, not gentleman, but that idiot that caused the problem. But I shout out to you for throwing that shade when I left, though.
I'm glad you made it safely on Southwest.
Yeah, you and me both.
You one of the blessed ones.
Yes, I did.
Now, let's talk about this former pro wrestler. Now, he's charged with welfare fraud?
Yes. While House Republicans are trying to cut food stamp benefits, which we're going to talk about later this morning, rich people in Mississippi are running welfare scams from the food program. Former professional wrestler Teddy DeBias Jr. of Madison, Mississippi.
What? The $1 Million Man?
Yes, the $1 Million Man is running $1 million worth of schemes. So he received sham company contracts and misspent millions of dollars of welfare money that was supposed to help some of America's most neediest people. The indictment is the latest development in an ongoing Mississippi corruption case involving wealthy and well-connected people receiving contracts from the State Department of Human Services from 2016 to 2019. Now, according to the indictment, Davis directed funds from the Emergency Food Assistance Program and the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families to buy a vehicle, a boat, and for a down payment on a house, among other things. He is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and to commit theft concerning programs receiving federal funds, 6 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds, and 4 counts of money laundering. Now, when I read this story, it reminded me of the great Fannie Lou Hamer and what she said about Mississippi in 1968. Take a listen.
Mississippi is still a very rough place. You know, people is not just walking up like they used to do in the past, walking out, you know, shooting a man down or getting maybe 200 or 300 people carrying you out and lynching you, but it's in a more settled way. You know, they can let you starve to death, not give you jobs. These are some of the things that's happening right now in Mississippi. See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem.
So that was 55 years ago. Fannie Lou Hamer was talking about Mississippi. So this is another example. So if he is convicted of this, he will face 5 years in prison for the conspiracy count and up to 20 years for each wire fraud count and 10 years for the count of theft concerning programs with federal funds.
I can't believe you, Ted DiBiase. Ric Flair would never. And what makes rich Americans think that if they cut welfare, that's going to work out for them? Like, if people can't eat, if people can't afford food, who you think they're eventually going to come after? Yeah. They coming where the wealth is at. You jeopardizing your own safety and your own well-being because those same people that's starving going to find a way to survive, and that survival is going to come from taking what you got. Best believe that.
Yep. And we're going to talk about that more next hour about how they are trying to cut the food stamp program.
All right. Well, thank you, Tez. We'll see you in a little bit. Get it off your chest is next. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open again. 800-585-1051. Get it off your chest. It's the Breakfast Club.
It's Ted DiBiase's son, Teddy Jr.
Oh, it's the junior?
Yeah, the junior.
Oh, okay.
The $1 Million son.
Okay, $1 Million son.
Yes.
All right. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Now we have Teslin Figueroa back with us. What up, Tez?
What's going on, family?
All right, well, let's start off with some sports. Now, last night, if you're watching the NBA, I didn't get a chance to check it out, but the Warriors beat the Kings 114-97. The Suns beat the Clippers 124-129, and the 76ers beat the Nets 102-97. Now, what else are we talking about this morning? Where you want to start? Want to start with the food stamps?
Yeah, let's start with the food stamps. On last hour, I played a clip, 1968, from the great Fannie Lou Hamer about how they will try to take your food away. And that is exactly what is happening right now. Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is pitching changes to the federal food stamp program that would increase the number of people who have to show they're working in order to be eligible to receive the food stamps. Now, the proposal is a part of a larger legislative framework to raise the nation's debt limit for 1 year while scaling back on federal spending. Right now, many people ages from 18 to 50 who rely on food stamps are subject to work reporting requirements. McCarthy is looking to raise that age range to 56. Now, advocates worry that if that happens, more people will be shut out of the program. The SNAP director for the Food Research and Action Center, Ellen Vollinger, says it's pretty feasible that this is going to lead to more food hardship and that it doesn't do anything to improve people's employability.
That's right.
It will just take away from people that are unable to meet the documented requirements. Now, more than 9.5 million adults age 50 and older rely on food stamps. And if Republicans in the House pass this, it faces an uphill battle in the Democrat-controlled Senate. So in other words, this is highly unlikely that this would pass the Senate, but I still wanted the family to know what is being proposed.
And just know the first law of nature is self-preservation. So when you take people's food stamps away and crime goes up because of it, just because people out here just trying to survive, don't be surprised. And don't use that as an excuse to be tougher on crime because you shouldn't have cut their food stamps in the first place.
Absolutely. And I just want to say this note. I was an employer in Florida maybe about a decade ago. I had 300 employees. And I know there's, folks that are going to say, well, they should just show, that they're working. And one of the things that I want to point out, that is not always an easy thing to do, particularly if you work part-time, if your hours are unpredictable, if 1 week you have, a certain amount of hours, the next week you don't. Right now, you have to show that you work 20 hours every week. And so what happens is if they don't have that documentation in on time, then it prevents them from getting programs. And actually, I challenged the NBA during the NBA lockout in 2011. I came up with a program called Assist the Bench. And it was one of these things very similar to this that was showing that if these part-time employees or people that don't have consistent work, if they're not able to show documentation to federal programs, they lose access to food stamp benefits.
I don't understand, Tez. I don't understand if the economy, the way the economy is right now and inflation being sky high, should be making it easier for people to get government assistance instead of harder?
Absolutely, especially when we consider how much money is going to Ukraine. Let's make sure, that we feed our American citizens. So
That's right.
Hopefully this won't make it through, but it's still important, for folks to know what is actually being proposed.
That's right.
All right, now let's talk about the workplace. Tez, you ever worked at a workplace where they got somebody in there that bothers you all the time and bullies you all the time? You ever worked at a place like that?
I haven't worked in a place like that, but I'm familiar with one.
Oh, me too. Let's talk about this toxic positivity in the workplace.
I do. That's
Yes,
I'm toxic
I thought about
positivity.
you
What is that? I like how that sounds.
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question. For folks out there, I know last time we did career news, it went really well. So I wanted to give you some more information about the workplace. Toxic positivity and how it's bad for your workplace. Now, according to licensed clinical psychologist and therapist Lauren Cook, toxic positivity is an unwavering devotion to optimism that can minimize or disregard when someone like DJ Envy is in emotional pain.
Yes.
In other words, toxic positivity makes you believe that you should have a positive mindset no matter what you're going through. And I want people to think about this in their personal relationship as well, platonic and romantic. It's something that causes you to disassociate from your negative feelings and pretend that it's all rainbows and butterflies when it is not. Now, you may recognize phrases like good vibes only, look for the silver lining. Well, those are phrases that typically gloss over genuine problems in the workplace. They may have good intentions when they say that, but what it does is it dismisses negativity that can create a false positive facade. Now, in a survey, nearly 60% of respondents say that they have experienced toxic positivity from someone in the previous weeks. And more than 75% of respondents admitted that they ignore their own emotions in favor of being happy. So I want to give you a few side effects on how toxic positivity affects your mental health. And then I'm going to tell you a few things what you can do to fix it. So number one, it invalidates employees' feelings and experiences. Number two, it creates a culture of avoidance. And number three, it triggers feelings of shame. Now, what you can do, DJ Envy, to avoid this toxic positivity is one, you can start setting up some boundaries and speaking up to Charlamagne.
I'm going to set a boundary right now. You don't pass this Air Force One.
First of all, there's no toxic positivity in this workplace. Continue.
Greg, what else can I do?
Two, you can call it out when you see others doing it.
Stop doing it, Charlamagne.
We do that all the time. Shut up.
What's number three?
What's three, Tez?
Number three, understand that it's okay, DJ Envy, not to be okay.
And by the way, that's the first thing you learn in therapy. It's okay to not be okay.
I think you should give me a hug.
And when you go to therapy, your therapist is going to tell you to feel your feels. So ain't no toxic positivity in here because don't nobody in here bite their tongue. When we feel a way about something, we express it.
You fulfill your feels.
I don't know. I'm going to push back because when DJ Envy lost his jury, he set up boundaries. He spoke up. He came in empathetic. And you said, hey, look on the bright side. You're still rich. So that was an example of toxic positivity.
I think that you should apologize and give me a hug.
I don't think that was an example of toxic positivity. I actually laughed when he lost his jury because I thought it was funny.
That's
so that was just regular toxic then.
That was just plain old toxic. That was just plain old toxic.
That was toxic.
That's all. That's all that was.
Well, thank you, Tesla, and you have a great time out in Atlanta this weekend. And how can people follow you? Give me your Instagram and all that.
Yeah, come follow me at Tesla Figure on Instagram and subscribe to the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast. And guys, my podcast every week is centered on what I cover here on the Front Page News. I take your calls, I get your feedback, we go a little bit deeper, and I give you a lot of good stuff that you can use. And I always say, use it, lose it, can't make you choose it. Subscribe to TeslanFigaro.com.
That's right. See you this weekend, Taz. See you tonight, actually. I'll see you today.
Yeah, see you today.
That's right.
All right.
Now, when we come back, you keep trying to hug me.
What?
You kept trying to hug me throughout
that whole
segment.
I feel the way. I think you should apologize and give me a hug.
I'm not apologizing, and I'm not giving you a hug.
Okay.
Those are called boundaries.
I'm going to catch you in the hall.
I'll do that when I feel like it.
I'm going to catch you in the hall then. Got me right from behind.
That don't sound right.
All right. When we come back, Chloe Bailey will be joining us.
My cousin.
She has a new album called In Pieces. There's a lot going on with her. She's heading on tour. She has a movie out.
She's on tour.
Oh, she's on tour.
Yeah, she's on tour right now.
And we're going to talk to her when we come back. All right, so don't move. Chloe Bailey when we come back. It's The Breakfast Club on BET.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.